Millionaire CEO came to buy an engagement ring, then saw his ex behind the counter, holding a little boy. This is a story about a man who thought he could buy happiness, only to find the woman he destroyed standing right in front of him. And that brings me to you, my beautiful family. Today I come to you with a heavy heart. I look at the numbers and I see that thousands of you are watching, but the love has grown cold. The likes are few, the comments are silent. Why? I work day and night to bring these stories to your soul, to heal your hearts. Is my effort not worth 1 second of your time? If you can hear my voice, do not be a silent watcher today. Break the silence. Hit that subscribe button to show me that our bond is still real. Before we witness this tragedy, I want to send a blessing to your home. May God protect the hand that presses the subscribe button today. May your family be shielded from betrayal, and may your pockets never be empty. I am praying for you. Will you support me? If you believe in the power of a mother's prayer, do not scroll past this. Subscribe and claim this blessing. Now, let's begin. Sophie Raines didn't believe in fate until the man who destroyed her life walked through the door of her shop, holding another woman's hand. The afternoon rain battered the windows of Raines Horology, turning the view of the Seattle street into a gray, watery blur. Inside, the shop was warm, smelling of cedarwood and old metal. Sophie had built this place from the ashes of her old life. Every ticking clock on the wall, every custom watch in the display case was a testament to hands that had learned to create again after being shattered. She sat behind the heavy oak counter, wearing her signature black compression gloves. They hid the scars that webbed across her knuckles and palms, scars that ached whenever the rain came down hard like this. Behind her, in a small playpen lined with soft blankets, Toby was sleeping. He clutched a plush gear-shaped toy, his breathing rhythmic and peaceful. He was her sister's son, the only family she had left in this world, the child she had fought to keep when grief nearly swallowed her whole. The bell above the door chimed. Sophie glanced up from the movement she was repairing, her professional smile already in place. Then she saw him, Ethan Blackwood. 4 years vanished in a heartbeat. 4 years of physical therapy, of screaming into her pillow at night, of rebuilding herself from ruins. 4 years of becoming someone stronger, harder, untouchable. All of it threatened to crack apart because he had the audacity to walk into her sanctuary. He looked different, older. The rebellious edge she had loved, the leather jackets and the long hair, was gone. In its place was a man carved from ice. He wore a charcoal suit that probably cost more than her car. His dark hair was cut short, precise. He wore a Patek Philippe on his wrist, a watch she knew he hadn't built himself. He had become exactly what his mother wanted him to be. The woman on his arm was predictable. Jessica. Blonde hair that looked like spun gold, skin that had never seen a day of hard labor. She wore her wealth like armor, diamonds at her throat, a designer trench coat that was perfectly dry despite the storm outside. "We're looking for something unique," Jessica said, shaking off her umbrella. Her voice carried the breathy confidence of private schools and summer homes in Aspen. Ethan scanned the shop, his eyes passing over the vintage grandfather clocks and the trays of gears. He looked bored. He looked like a man checking a box on a list. "You do custom work?" Ethan said, his voice deep and smooth, a sound that used to make Sophie's heart race. Now it just made her scars ache. "We want an engagement ring, something absolutely no one else will have. Industrial, but elegant." Sophie's hands tightened on the tweezers she was holding. She forced herself to breathe. She forced herself to remember that she was safe here. This was her domain. "I do custom commissions," Sophie said, her voice steady despite the storm raging inside her chest. "But I specialize in timepieces, watch movements, gears." Ethan's eyes finally landed on her face. She watched the recognition hit him like a physical blow. His expression shifted from boredom to shock to disbelief to something that might have been horror if she believed he was capable of feeling anything. The color drained from his face, leaving him ashen. "Sophie." His name came out strangled, barely a whisper. Jessica glanced between them, her perfectly shaped eyebrows drawing together. You two know each other? We used to, Sophie said before Ethan could respond. She kept her tone cool, detached, the way she had practiced 1,000 times in therapy. A long time ago, different lives. She moved to the side, placing the tweezers down. The movement drew Ethan's eyes to her hands, to the black gloves. He stared at them. He stared at the way her fingers didn't quite straighten all the way out. "Sophie," he whispered again, "you're here." "I own the building," Sophie said flatly. "How can I help you, Mr. Blackwood?" Ethan flinched at the formality. "Show us your portfolio," Jessica interrupted, sensing the tension and disliking being ignored. "Ethan said you're the best in the city for mechanical designs. I want something that speaks to the passage of time, like eternal love." Sophie reached under the counter. She pulled out her leather-bound portfolio. Her hands trembled slightly, a tremor that had nothing to do with the cold. "Let me show you," she said. She opened the book. She flipped past the watches, past the clockwork pendants. Jessica leaned over the counter. "These are stunning, absolutely stunning. I knew we came to the right place." Ethan hadn't moved. He stood frozen near the door, staring at Sophie like she was a ghost he couldn't quite believe was real.
"This one," Jessica said, pointing to a sketch near the back of the book. "Can you do something like this, but with a diamond in the center of the gears?" Sophie looked down. Her blood turned to ice. The design Jessica had chosen was the Eternity gear. It was the last piece Sophie had sketched before her hands were destroyed. She had drawn it 4 years ago, sitting on the floor of Ethan's apartment, dreaming of the ring she thought he was going to give her. It was an infinity loop made of tiny, interlocking gears. It represented 2 lives moving in perfect sync. "That design isn't for sale," Sophie said quietly. "Excuse me?" "That particular design is not available for commission," Sophie said, closing the book. "I can create something else for you, something equally complex, but not that one." "Everything has a price," Jessica said, her voice taking on a sharp edge. "Ethan is prepared to pay whatever you want, triple the cost." "It's not about money," Sophie said. "It's not available." Ethan made a sound, a choked, strangled noise. Sophie, your hands." Sophie looked at him. She held up her gloved hands. "Arthritis?" Jessica asked dismissively. "My grandmother has that. It's terrible." "No," Ethan said, stepping forward. His eyes were wide, horrified. "Those aren't arthritis gloves. Those are compression gloves for trauma." He looked at Sophie, his gaze piercing through the years of silence. "Who did this to you?" he demanded. "Don't," Sophie said. The word was sharp, a command. Just then, Toby stirred in the playpen. He let out a soft cry and sat up, rubbing his eyes. "Mama?" Toby called out, his voice sleepy and sweet. Ethan froze. He looked over the counter. He saw the little boy with dark curly hair and big brown eyes. The air left the room. Ethan looked at Toby. Then he looked at Sophie. He did the math. 4 years. A 3-year-old boy. Is he mine? Sophie's heart hammered. She saw the hope in his eyes, the desperate, terrified hope of a man who realizes what he lost. "He is not your concern," Sophie said coldly. He looks like me," Ethan whispered. "Sophie, the timeline. When you left, were you—" "I didn't leave, Ethan. I was driven out. Or did your mother forget to mention that part of the story?" Jessica looked between them, her face twisting in disgust. "Ethan, what is going on? Do you have a child with this woman?" "I don't know," Ethan said, not looking at her. "Sophie, tell me, is he my son?" "Get out," Sophie said. She walked out from behind the counter. She picked up Toby, holding him tight against her chest. She shielded him from Ethan's gaze. "Get out of my shop. Take your fiancé and your checkbook and get out." "I'm not leaving until you answer me," Ethan shouted. "You left 4 years ago," Sophie screamed back. "You left when I needed you. You chose your mother. You chose the money. You don't get to come back now and ask questions." The outburst silenced the room. Even the rain seemed to stop for a second. Ethan stared at her. He looked at her gloved hands. He looked at the boy clinging to her neck. "I didn't choose the money," he whispered. "I thought you took the payout. My mother showed me the check. She said you took $5 million to get rid of the baby and leave." Sophie stared at him. $5 million? She laughed. It was a broken, jagged sound. "Ethan," Sophie said, tears finally spilling over. "I didn't take a dime. Your mother didn't pay me to leave. She paid 2 men to break into my apartment and crush my hands so I could never play the piano again. And the trauma made me lose the baby." Ethan stopped breathing. "The baby?" he choked out. "Our baby? Dead. 4 years ago. Along with my career. Along with my heart." She pointed to the door with a trembling, gloved finger. "This boy, Toby, he is my sister's son. He is the only good thing I have left, and you are not going to touch him. Now get out." Ethan looked like he'd been shot. He looked at Jessica, who was backing away in horror. He looked at Sophie, the woman he had loved, the woman he had believed was a villain, and realized that he was the monster's son. He turned and walked out the door. He stumbled into the rain, not even opening his umbrella. He fell to his knees on the sidewalk, the water soaking through his expensive suit, and let out a scream that was swallowed by the storm. "I see many people passing through, but I'm looking for my true family. There are people who watch and leave, and there are people who stay and build this home with me. Which one are you? If you are truly with me, if your loyalty is not fake, prove it right now. Hit the subscribe button. Don't let me feel alone today." To understand the silence in Sophie Rain's life, you have to understand the music that used to fill it. 4 years ago, Sophie didn't fix watches. She played Rachmaninoff. She was 23 years old, a piano prodigy studying at the Seattle Conservatory. Her hands were her life. Long, elegant fingers that could span an octave and a half, capable of coaxing tears from a stone. She was on a full scholarship, the pride of her working-class family. And she was in love with the enemy. Ethan Blackwood wasn't the CEO back then. He was the black sheep. He rode a motorcycle. He wore leather jackets to charity galas. He was trying desperately to outrun the shadow of his mother, Catherine Blackwood, the Iron Lady of Seattle philanthropy. They met in the rain, of course. Ethan's motorcycle had broken down outside the conservatory. Sophie had offered him an umbrella. "You look like you're dressed for a funeral," she had teased, eyeing his all-black attire. "I'm mourning my freedom," he had grinned, wiping grease from his cheek. "My mother is making me join the board tomorrow." They fell in love with the intensity of a storm. Ethan loved that Sophie created something beautiful with her hands. Sophie loved that Ethan saw her, not just her talent. They moved into a small loft in Capitol Hill. It was messy, it was loud, it was perfect. But the Iron Lady was watching. Catherine Blackwood summoned Sophie to her estate on a Tuesday. "You are a distraction," Catherine said, sipping tea from a cup that cost more than Sophie's tuition. "Ethan needs a wife who understands our world, a wife who can host galas, not play lullabies." "I love him," Sophie said, lifting her chin, "and he loves me." "Love is a chemical reaction," Sophie sneered. "It fades. Legacy lasts forever." "Leave him, Miss Rains. I will pay off your student loans. I will give you $1 million. "No," Sophie said. She stood up. "I'm pregnant, Mrs. Blackwood. We're going to be a family. And there isn't enough money in your vault to make me leave him." Catherine didn't scream. She didn't throw the tea. She just smiled, a cold, terrifying tightening of her lips. "I see," Catherine said. "You have made your choice. Remember that." 1 week later. It was the night of Sophie's final recital, the most important performance of her life. Scouts from the New York Philharmonic were going to be there. Ethan had promised to be in the front row. "I'll be there," he had kissed her forehead that morning. "I have to deal with my mother first. She's threatening to cut off my trust fund if I don't break up with you, but I'll be there. I'm going to propose tonight, Sophie, on stage after you play." Sophie had walked to the conservatory on air. She felt the tiny flutter in her stomach. The baby, our baby. She played like an angel. The music flowed through her, a river of emotion. When she finished the final chord of the Concerto No. 2, the audience erupted. She stood up, bowing, searching the front row. The seat was empty. Ethan wasn't there. She checked her phone backstage. No texts, no calls. She walked home alone, the bouquet of roses she had bought for herself drooping in the rain. She unlocked the door to their loft. Ethan? The apartment was dark. Then the shadows moved. 2 men stepped out from the kitchen. They wore ski masks and dark clothes. They didn't look like burglars. They looked like soldiers. "Who are you?" Sophie whispered, backing away. "Ethan Blackwood resends his regards," one of them said. His voice was flat, rehearsed. Sophie shook her head. "No, Ethan wouldn't. He chose the money," the man said. "He chose the legacy. And he wants to make sure you never come back." They grabbed her. They didn't take the TV. They didn't take her jewelry. They took her hands. One man held her down on the floor. The other pulled a heavy steel pipe from his jacket. "Please," Sophie screamed. "I'm a pianist. Please, not my hands." The man didn't hesitate. He brought the pipe down. The sound was sickening, the crunch of delicate bones shattering like porcelain. The pain was white-hot, blinding, erasing the world. Then they kicked her, in the stomach, again and again. "Get rid of the problem," the man grunted. Sophie curled into a ball trying to protect the baby, but it was too late. She felt something tear inside. She felt the warmth of blood soaking her jeans. "Ethan," she sobbed into the floorboards as the darkness took her. While Sophie was bleeding on the floor of their loft, Ethan was sitting in his mother's study, 3 miles away. He had been there for 4 hours. His mother had locked the gates. She had confiscated his phone. "You need to calm down," Catherine said, pouring him a drink. "Sophie isn't coming," Ethan shouted. "She has a recital. I have to go." "She's gone, Ethan," Catherine said calmly. She slid a folder across the desk. Ethan opened it. Inside was a check, a copy of a check made out to Sophie Raines. Amount, $5 million, and a note written in handwriting that looked suspiciously like Sophie's. "I'm sorry, Ethan. The money was too good. I'm getting rid of the baby. I'm going to Europe to study. Don't follow me. I never really loved you." "It's a lie," Ethan whispered. "I tracked her phone," Catherine said. "She's at the airport right now. She took the money, Ethan. She sold you. She sold your child." Ethan stared at the check. He felt the world tilting. He drove to the loft. He ran up the stairs. The door was open. The apartment was empty. The police had already come and gone, taking Sophie to the hospital, but Ethan didn't know that. He saw the blood on the floor. She got rid of it," he choked out, staring at the stain. "She killed our baby." He believed the lie, because the alternative, that his mother was a monster, was too much to bear. He walked out of the loft. He rode on his motorcycle. He drove until the gas out. And then he went back to the mansion. He put on the suit. He cut his hair. He became the CEO who didn't feel anything, because feeling meant remembering the girl who sold his heart for $5 million.
It hurts me when I see the views go up but the subscribers stay the same. It feels like inviting a guest into your home, feeding them, and having them leave without saying thank you. I am feeding your soul with these stories. Please do not leave without saying thank you. It takes one click to like this video. Don't ignore this small request. Show me that manners and gratitude still exist in this world. The rain had stopped, but the storm inside Ethan Blackwood was just beginning. He drove straight from the watch shop to the Blackwood estate. He didn't speed. He didn't weave through traffic. He drove with a cold, mechanical precision that was far more terrifying than rage. Jessica sat in the passenger seat, silent. She had seen the look on his face. She knew better than to speak. He pulled up to the iron gates. He punched in the code. The gates swung open, welcoming the prodigal son home to the slaughter. Catherine Blackwood was in the conservatory, pruning her prize-winning orchids. She wore gardening gloves and a silk blouse. She looked elegant. She looked like a saint. Ethan walked in. Jessica followed, hovering by the door like a witness to an execution. "Ethan, darling," Catherine smiled, snipping in dead bloom. "Did you find the ring? Jessica has been so excited about—" "Show me your hands," Ethan said. Catherine paused. She lowered the shears. "Excuse me?" "Show me your hands, mother." She took off her gardening gloves, revealing perfectly manicured nails, smooth, unblemished skin. They looked strong, capable, unlike Sophie's. Catherine's face went still. It was the stillness of a predator realizing the trap has been sprung. "You saw her," she said. It wasn't a question. "I saw her," Ethan said, his voice rising. "I saw her wearing compression gloves because her hands were crushed. I saw the scars, and I heard the truth." He stepped closer, invading her space. "You told me she took the money. You showed me the check." "She did take it," Catherine lied smoothly. "She spent it. That shop?
How do you think she bought it?" "She built it," Ethan roared. He grabbed a vase from the table and threw it against the wall. It shattered, water and glass exploding across the marble floor. "She built it from nothing. She told me about the men, Mother, the men you sent." Catherine didn't flinch. She looked at the broken vase with mild annoyance. "I did what was necessary," she said cold. "She was a liability. She was going to drag you down into mediocrity. You would have been a piano teacher's husband, Ethan. Look at you now. You are a CEO. You are a king." "I am a husk," Ethan screamed. "I am empty. I have spent 4 years hating the woman I loved because you lied to me." He looked at Jessica. "And you," he said, "did you know?" Jessica stepped forward, her eyes wet. I suspected. Your mother told me there was an incident. She said it was handled. I didn't ask questions because I wanted to be with you." "You wanted the name," Ethan spat. "You wanted the Blackwood fortune." He took off his Patek Philippe watch. He threw it on the floor. He took out his wallet. He threw it on the floor. "I'm done," he said. "I am resigning as CEO. I am liquidating my assets. I am going to the police." Catherine laughed. It was a dry, brittle sound. "The police? Ethan, grow up. The statute of limitations hasn't run out, but the evidence has. Those men are gone. The money was cash. You have nothing but the word of a hysterical woman." "I have my testimony," Ethan said. "I will tell the world what you are. I will go to the press. I will destroy your reputation, Mother, the one thing you care about more than me." Catherine's smile vanished. "You wouldn't dare. Watch me." He turned to leave. "If you walk out that door," Catherine hissed, "I will ruin her. I will have that shop condemned. I will have that child taken away by child services. Do not test me, Ethan." Ethan stopped. He turned back slowly. "If you touch a hair on her head," he whispered, "or that boy's head, I won't go to the press. I will come back here and I will burn this house down with you inside it." The threat hung in the air, heavy and real. Catherine Blackwood, for the first time in her life, looked afraid. Ethan walked out. He walked past Jessica, who was crying silently. "The engagement is off," he said without looking at her. He got into his car. He didn't go to a hotel. He didn't go to a bar. He drove back to the watch shop. The shop was closed. The sign on the door said, "Closed forever." Sophie was inside, packing boxes. Toby was sleeping in his playpen. She heard the knock. She saw Ethan standing in the rain, again. She didn't want to open the door, but she saw his face. He wasn't the CEO anymore. He was the boy she had loved. He looked broken. She unlocked the door. "What do you want?" she asked, blocking the entrance. Ethan fell to his knees on the doormat. He didn't care about the mud. He didn't care about his dignity. "I'm sorry," he sobbed. "I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I should have known."
Sophie looked down at him. She felt the old anger, the old pain, but she also felt something else. Pity. "Get up, Ethan," she said. "I quit," he wept. "I quit the company. I left her. I threatened my mother. I'm going to fix this, Sophie. I'm going to make her pay." "It won't bring back my hands," Sophie said quietly. "It won't bring back our baby." "I know," Ethan said. He looked up at her, his eyes red and raw. "I know I can't fix the past, but please, let me fix the future. Let me help you." "I don't need your help." "I know you don't. But Toby?" Ethan looked past her at the sleeping boy. "He needs a village, Sophie. You're doing it all alone. Let me be a part of his village, not as a father, not as a boyfriend, just as a friend who owes you a life." Sophie looked at him. She saw the desperation. She saw the truth. She looked at her gloved hands. She looked at Toby. She was tired. She was so tired of fighting alone. "Probation," she said. Ethan blinked. "What?" "You are on probation," Sophie said. "You want to help? Fine. The shop needs a new security system. The roof leaks. And Toby needs someone to teach him how to build things, because my hands can't hold a hammer anymore." Ethan nodded frantically. "I can do that. I can fix the roof. I can install the system." "You don't get to buy it," Sophie warned. "You do the work with your hands. And if you ever lie to me again, if you ever choose your mother over us again,
I won't, Ethan swore. Never again. Sophie stepped back. She opened the door wider. Come in, but wipe your feet. Ethan Blackwood stood up. He wiped his feet. He walked into the shop, leaving the millionaire, the CEO, and the coward outside in the rain. He picked up a broom, and he started to sweep. Ethan ignored the woman who loved him, and he paid the price. Let that be a lesson to us. When you see something good, you must cherish it. This channel is a good thing. This community is a good thing. Do not make Ethan's mistake. Do not take this for granted. If you have a heart that beats for justice, hit that subscribe button. Do not wait until it is too late to show your support.
The year that followed was not a fairy tale. It was a construction project. Ethan Blackwood didn't live in a penthouse anymore. He lived in a studio apartment 3 blocks from Rain's Horology. He didn't wear suits. He wore flannel shirts and work boots. He had sold his shares in Blackwood Tech, donating half the money to music scholarships and putting the other half into a blind trust for Toby. He worked at a nonprofit during the day, teaching coding to at-risk youth, but his real job started at 5 p.m. He would walk to the shop. He would fix the leaky roof. He would repaint the walls. He would install a security system that rivaled Fort Knox. And he would be with Toby. He taught Toby how to build Lego towers. He taught him how to tie his shoes. He read him stories about dragons and knights, always changing the ending so the knight didn't save the princess. The princess saved herself, and the knight just carried her bags. Sophie watched him. She watched him from behind her workbench, her gloved hands steady as she repaired antique clocks. She watched him interact with her nephew with a gentleness she hadn't thought possible. She watched him respect her boundaries, never pushing, never asking for more than she gave. One Tuesday in November, the pendulum swung. Sophie was struggling with a particularly heavy grandfather clock movement. Her grip strength wasn't what it used to be. The brass gears slipped. "Let me," Ethan said, appearing at her side. "I can do it," Sophie snapped, frustration flaring. "I know you can," Ethan said calmly, "but you don't have to. We're a team, remember? You're the brains, I'm the muscle." Sophie looked at him. He wasn't pitying her, he was partnering with her. She stepped back. "Okay." Ethan lifted the heavy movement effortlessly. He placed it on the stand. "Thank you," Sophie whispered. "Anytime," Ethan said. He hesitated, then reached out and gently touched her gloved hand. "How is the pain today?" "Manageable," she lied. "It's raining," Ethan said. "I know it hurts when it rains. Go sit down. I'll finish the polishing." Sophie sat. She watched him work, and for the first time in 5 years, the knot of anger in her chest loosened just a little bit. But peace is fragile when you have enemies. The attack didn't come with thugs this time. It came with paper. It was a Friday morning. A city inspector walked into the shop. He looked nervous. He slapped a red sticker on the front window. Condemned. "What is this?" Sophie demanded, running out from the back. "Structural instability," the inspector mumbled, not meeting his eyes. "Foundational cracks. You have 24 hours to vacate." "That's a lie," Ethan shouted, stepping forward. "I inspected the foundation myself last month. It's solid as a rock." "Orders from the top," the inspector said, handing Ethan a citation. "Take it up with the city." Ethan looked at the paperwork. He saw the signature at the bottom. Commissioner Vance. Vance was one of his mother's oldest friends, one of the people she owned. "She's doing it," Ethan said, his face darkening. "She threatened to shut you down." "I can't lose this shop," Sophie cried, panic rising in her voice. "This is everything I have. This is my home. This is Toby's home." "You won't lose it," Ethan said. "How can you stop her? She owns the city." "She thinks she does," Ethan said. He took out his phone. He dialed a number he hadn't used in a year. "Jessica?" Sophie froze. "Jessica? The ex-fiancée?" "Ethan?" Jessica's voice came through the speaker, surprised. "I need a favor. My mother is trying to condemn Sophie's building. I need the file you kept, the one about the zoning bribes." There was a long pause. "Why should I help you? You humiliated me." "Because you know it's wrong, and because if you help me destroy her, you get to be the one who took down the Iron Lady." Jessica laughed. It was a sharp, vindictive sound. "Meet me at the coffee shop in an hour." Ethan met Jessica. She handed him a USB drive. She kept records of everything, bribes, payoffs, even the cash withdrawal she made 4 years ago, the one for the contractors. Ethan's blood ran cold, the men who broke Sophie's hands. "Thank you," Ethan said. "Don't thank me," Jessica said, standing up. "I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it because she told me I wasn't elegant enough for her son. Burn her to the ground, Ethan."
Ethan went to the Seattle Times. He met with an investigative journalist he knew from his CEO days. He handed over the drive. Run it. All of it. The bribes, the assault, the corruption. This will destroy your family name, the journalist warned. You'll be a pariah. I'm already a pariah. Just make sure the headline is big. The next morning, Seattle woke up to a firestorm. The Blackwood scandal. Matriarch linked to assault and fraud. The police were at the Blackwood estate by noon. Catherine was led out in handcuffs, looking for the first time like an old, frightened woman. The condemnation order on the shop was lifted by 2 p.m. Ethan walked into the shop. He held up the newspaper. "It's over," he said. "She can't hurt you anymore." Sophie looked at the paper. She looked at the photo of Catherine in handcuffs. She looked at Ethan. He looked exhausted. He looked like a man who had cut off his own limb to save a patient. "You destroyed your legacy," Sophie whispered. "I saved my future," he corrected. He turned to leave. "I should go. The press will be looking for me. I don't want to bring them here." "Ethan," Sophie said. He stopped. "Don't go." Ethan turned around. Sophie took off her gloves. She revealed her scarred, twisted hands. She held them out to him.
"You fixed the roof," she said. "You fixed the security system. You fixed the past." She took a step closer. "Can you fix this?" she asked, holding his gaze. "Can you fix us?" Ethan walked over to her. He took her scarred hands in his. He kissed the knuckles. He kissed the palms. He kissed the pain. "I can try," he whispered. "Every day, for the rest of my life." Sophie leaned her forehead against his chest. She breathed in the smell of sawdust and rain. "Okay," she said. "Start by staying for dinner. Toby misses you." "I missed him too," Ethan said, tears tracking through the dust on his face. The pendulum had swung. The time for sorrow was over. The time for building had begun. If you can feel the pain of this mother, if you have a heart of flesh and not of stone, please subscribe to the channel. Give me the courage to finish the story for you. It was a Tuesday evening, 6 months after the scandal had faded from the headlines. The rain was falling in Seattle, as it always did, but inside rain's horology, the air was warm and bright. Ethan was sitting at the secondary workbench, a jeweler's loop attached to his glasses. He was working on a vintage pocket watch, his hands steady and sure. Sophie had taught him everything. She had taught him that patience wasn't just a virtue, it was a survival skill. Sophie was at the main counter, sketching. She wasn't wearing her gloves today. She had decided that hiding her scars was hiding her strength. Toby, now 4 years old, was sitting on the floor between them, fixing a broken alarm clock with a plastic screwdriver. "Uncle Ethan?" Toby asked. "Yeah, buddy? Is this gear supposed to be sticky?" Ethan laughed. "Probably not. Did you use glue?" "Maybe," Toby grinned. Sophie looked up from her sketchpad. She watched them. She watched the way Ethan leaned down to help Toby, the way his face softened, the way he treated her nephew like his own son. She realized then that she wasn't angry anymore. The anger had been a shield, and she didn't need a shield when the war was over. "Sophie?" Ethan looked up. "Yeah?" "Come here." Ethan put down his tools. He walked over to the counter. "What's wrong?" he asked, seeing the intensity in her eyes. "Nothing is wrong. Everything is right." She reached into her pocket. She pulled out a small velvet box. Ethan froze. "Sophie? You came here a year ago to buy an engagement ring. For someone else. You wanted something unique, something industrial but elegant, something that spoke to the passage of time." She opened the box. Inside sat a ring. It wasn't a diamond. It was a band of white gold, inlaid with tiny microscopic gears that actually moved when you turned the outer rim. In the center, instead of a stone, was a piece of meteorite, star stuff, older than the Earth itself. It was the eternity gear, but she had redesigned it. She had made it for a man's hand. "I made this," Sophie said, her voice trembling. "With my broken hands. It took me 3 months. It hurt every single day, but I wanted to make something that proved broken things can still work." Ethan stared at the ring. He stared at her. "Sophie?" he whispered. "Are you—" "I'm proposing," Sophie said, a smile breaking through her tears. "Because I'm the boss, and because I don't want to wait anymore. We lost 4 years, Ethan. I don't want to lose another second." Ethan didn't say yes. He didn't nod. He walked around the counter. He took her face in his hands and kissed her. It wasn't the kiss of a lost boy or a guilty man.
It was the kiss of a partner, a builder, a husband. When they broke apart, he rested his forehead against hers. "Yes," he breathed. "Yes, 1,000 times yes." She slid the ring onto his finger. It fit perfectly. "Ew," Toby said from the floor. "Kissing." They laughed. Ethan scooped Toby up into his arms, then pulled Sophie in, creating a huddle of warmth and love in the middle of the shop. "We're a family," Ethan said to the boy. "That means we do kissing. Get used to it." "Can we get pizza?" Toby asked. "We can get anything we want," Sophie said, looking at the man who had given up a fortune to sweep her floors. "We have everything we need right here." Outside, the rain continued to fall, washing away the dirt of the city. But inside, time didn't stand still. It moved forward, tick by tick, gear by gear, measuring out a future that they would build together. And the Iron Lady? She was sitting in a cell, alone with her millions, while her son was sitting on a floor eating pizza with the people who loved him for free. Fate, Sophie decided, had a funny sense of humor, and it had finally delivered the punchline. And that is the end of our story today. From a heartbroken pianist to a triumphant watchmaker, Sophie proved that you can break a person's hands, but you cannot break their spirit. And Ethan proved that it is never too late to change, to learn, and to fix what you have broken. We are nearing the end, but I have one last request. Many have clicked away, but you are still here. That tells me you are special. You are not like the others who have short attention spans and cold hearts. You are deep. You are loyal. I want to recognize you. If you are still watching, please hit that subscribe button right now. Don't let this be the last time we meet. Secure your place in this family. Turn on the bell, and never let us be strangers. I love you even when you are silent, but I love you more when you are here.